This is the Ladies Edition podcast by real women, where we discuss the adversity and absolute foolishness that comes with women's reproductive issues. It is the mission of the Ladies Edition podcast to inspire, educate, and shine a light on and in our V Valley while empowering women everywhere. Welcome to the Ladies Edition podcast. We have an exciting show planned for you, but first, we got to kick this off with our introductions. I'm Shameika. I am also the host and creator of Check the Rhymes and the mofochronicles.com, and you can find me under those platforms on social media, YouTube, and themofochronicles.com. And let me kick it off to my co-host.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chelley Cheyenne. I'm a life coach and a podcast host of my life enhancement podcast. It's called Chit Chat with Chelley and Chelley Cheyenne. And I also am an author. I wrote a book 2 years ago, How to Enhance Your Life in 21 Days. So we're here to talk about all things women's health and wellness. I mean, it's such an important topic, right?
Yeah. And of course, the absolute foolishness that goes along with it, because there's always insanity. But today we have a special guest with us, and I'm super excited about this one. Agnes Vivarelli is here. You've seen her on YouTube. She's one of my favorite YouTubers. And actually, you've probably seen me on her channel. So I'm super hyped. Hi, Agnes. How are you?
Hello, ladies. I'm good. And I'm really excited that you picked this topic today, because I don't think I've talked about it in great detail. So looking forward to just discussing the mechanics of how you can heal, and that whatever diagnosis you get, you're not condemned to that's how it has to be. So
yeah, this is a huge topic, because so many of us, like, once we get that diagnosis of you have fibroids, or you have, even whatever it is, it could be some other illness or disease. And then the first thing you do is you run to the internet, like, how can I get rid of this?
I'm a WebMD person.
Right. I know for me, I came straight home and started throwing out everything in the pantry and was like, I'm not eating anything else forever, and then you try all kinds of different things. And I know Chelley has talked about trying some random things.
Castor oil around my waist, the castor oil packs or whatever they're called, and drinking molasses every night. Just the foolishness, hot sauce, cayenne pepper. I mean, everything, anything I found on the internet, I did it.
So tell us, Agnes, how did you find out that you had fibroids?
I couldn't do up my jeans because it was so big. It was probably at its biggest, it would have been like the size of bigger than a grapefruit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was quite large. Yeah, so I was thinking, what is this? I'm not pregnant. I know that. So what's going on? And then I went and had one of those ultrasounds, and then the guy said, oh, you've got to get this removed straight away. It's just going to grow. And, as he put all the disaster stories in my head. And I thought, okay, that's your opinion. Okay, thank you for the diagnosis. And in the past, I would have started arguing, going, you don't understand that this doesn't have to be cut. And I thought, you know what, these days I don't waste my energy on engaging with someone that said that, because I know it's a waste of time.
Right.
So I just went, okay, thank you very much. And I left. And then I thought, oh, okay, because I'd had a tumor in my late 20s. And this happened in my, probably early 50s. So I thought, okay, why have I got this? And then I researched it. And, you know, it went into all the stats that people that are from African descent, they've got a higher this, you know, and they show you all of that. Like you were saying about the castor oil, you know, they've got all these things that you can obviously read and then find out about. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter whether you're black or white or anything else. If you've got fibroids, you've got fibroids, and you have to deal with it. So I thought, okay, what have I got going on that's created this? What can I research about my own self? And I realized I was basically eating a lot of the food groups that feed fibroids. And that for me is cultural, because I'm come from a French-Italian family, high wheat, high sugar, high dairy. Wow. So those foods are, and caffeine. So those.
Oh no. And I was sitting here drinking.
Yeah. Chelley, to say I still drink caffeine and I have one a day, and I'm not going to be like, you know, pretend I'm Jesus Christ, because it's never going to work. So I cut back on those things, and I also had a look at what was I stewing on, because it's in that part of the body where all your emotions are. Yeah. So I thought, okay, what have I got going on that I'm stewing on, that I'm resenting, that I'm holding, I'm not willing to let go, and just been working on those things. Also, I really increased my moving that part of the body. So I started doing 10 sit-ups a day, then I built it up to 20, then I built it up to 30, and I built it up to 40. So I do 40 sit-ups a day, 5 days a week. Now, it takes 10 minutes. It's not the be all and end all. In the beginning, I thought 10 sit-ups was going to kill me, because I hadn't done a sit-up since about 1980. But now I do 20, then I just lay on my back. Yeah. 5-10 minutes. Well, not even that sometimes. And then I do the next 20. So, and then what I started to do was I also started to take green clay. Now, green clay comes from France. And there was this doctor that was treating COVID with green clay, and people with severe COVID were recovering in about 3 days. Now, unfortunately, her interview is in French, and it's obviously, if you don't speak French, you can't understand it. But her basic thing was the green clay, you take it in water, you take it. I mean, I had severe COVID. My partner was hospitalized. I ended up where I wasn't hospitalized, but I was knocked out for 2 months, like bedridden, knocked out. So I found out about this, unfortunately, near the end of my COVID. And then when I started to take it, the COVID recovered really fast. And it is about cleaning out anything in the body. It's like this big sponge, the green clay, and it sucks up all the stuff that shouldn't be in your body, and it eliminates it through the digestive tract, and it cleans out the digestive tract.
Now, is it actual clay? Is it, you just dissolve it in water?
Yeah, actually, since it, we're doing this, I'll just get it out of the cupboard and I'll show it to you while I'm talking.
Do you mix it with something to make it
easy to digest? You mix it with water, and you can't stir it with a metal spoon, because apparently the metal spoon interferes with the whatever it is in the clay. But you just mix it. You put it in a glass of water. You put a heaping teaspoon. When I had COVID, I was doing like a tablespoon, because I was really trying to cleanse the body. And so you put it in the water, and you let it drop into the water on its own, because the clay is alive. So it goes through the body and it gets rid of the stuff. So I'll show you what it looks like. You can actually order this online. I'm not an affiliate. This is purely my own personal use. So there's one that's for external use, which women use for face masks.
Okay.
This is the internal use one. And that one's really good, and it is made in France, and it's for all use. This is for internal use or external, and it has to be the green one. It says argile verte. Argile means clay, verte is green. So it has to be the green, because they do make yellow clay and red clay. So started taking this and, just really clearing out the body, because my body was pretty much jammed up with a lot of dairy, wheat, and sugar. So, so cutting back on those. Do I say to you now, I never eat it? No, I do eat it. I try and, cut back. I still have tendencies. I love those food groups. It is my culture. I don't have to eat everything in my culture, but I can be aware that it is a fibroid grower, these types of foods.
Right.
Especially the pastas, the bread, the sweets, all the good stuff. All the good stuff. So I try and do about 80%, 70 to 80% eating well, lots of green stuff, because green is a lot of the alkaline foods. So the spinach, the kale, the asparagus, the Brussels sprouts, the what's the other one? Broccoli. So all of those balance the body, because we've got too much acid food, not enough alkaline food.
Right.
So increasing the alkaline food, decreasing the acid food, avoiding those food groups 70% of the time. And then it slowly starts to, dissolve the fibroid. And then also working on the mental and emotional side of it, releasing anything you resent, writing it down, burning the letters, also increasing the exercise, because a lot of women that have fibroids, that part of the body hasn't done any exercise for a long time. And there's just a lot of stuff hanging around there. So it helps, not saying skinny people or people that exercise can't get fibroids, but a lot less, because they're moving the blood through that part of the body and getting circulation. Whereas when you get fibroids, you often have got stuff sitting there, literally sitting there. So, so it's a real process, but it is definitely possible to get rid of it. Now, the work of Brandon Bays does a process called the physical journey and the emotional journey. It is all about bringing people into the mental realm through imagining and then saying what you need to say to people that you're still holding things on to about, and then releasing those emotions from the body. So you're getting rid of that stuff that's sitting there in that fibroid area, because that's where all the emotions are. So all those things have been really helpful.
How do you feel? Because I know Shameika mentioned that to me about writing down all of the different things and just burning it or throwing it away or whatever. I am not one that can do that, because I don't feel that, and I'm just being honest, I don't feel that has done anything for me. If I were to do it, like, I'd rather burn that person and that would make me feel better, or I'd rather take it to that person. So how do you manifest that? What are the steps that you took for someone like me who I want to see that person see what I'm doing, wish it away or whatever. How do you do that? How did you do that? How did you manifest shrinking your fibroids or ridding your body of them?
Well, I think reading Neville Goddard, who basically says everything that shows up in front of you is you pushed out. So once you understand the dynamic between what I got in front of me from that person that's caused me to create resentment, that was certain things in me that brought them in that particular way at that particular time for that to occur to me. So if everyone is me pushed out, then I stop seething on, you did that to me, you didn't give enough, you owe me, you boss, you ex-lover, you romantic partner, you mum, you sibling, it doesn't matter who it is. We take things on because we interpret things in certain ways. So if you interpret, you did something to me and screw you, you still owe me an apology, then you haven't really done the work to look at your own behavior as to why that happened. And while you're still doing the you are still trapped in your own suffering, which is feeling angry, resentment, frustrated, rage, a whole list of things. So now, is that easy work? No. Is it simple? Yeah, it's simple, but it's not easy because it makes you take 100% responsibility for your fibroid, for your bad relationship, for your debt, for your crappy job, for the fact that you don't do meaningful work or whatever it is that's causing you disturbance, uncomfortability. It makes you really go, okay, hang on. I've got this fibroid because of me. Now, the exception I would say is if you live in certain places that have environmental health disasters, like power lines, different things like that. We know that those types of things do affect the body. I'm not talking about that. Today, it's about really looking at, if I've got this, who am I holding a resentment towards that I haven't let go of? And the resentment isn't hurting them, it's hurting me. Yeah. Forgiveness is a really big part of, I think, letting go of fibroids, because, you know, when we hold a lot of resentment towards, you know, and let's be fair and honest here, there's been a hell of a lot of resentment towards governments and stuff lately because of what we've experienced for the last 2.5 years globally. Yeah. So, and hey, you know, this is understandable because that's an environmental, well, it's not technically environmental, it's man-made, and they've made it about certain things. And so we've all taken on the impact of these emotions, and the collective consciousness has created different illnesses, different things. So we've got global resentment as well. So it's like you got to look at all these layers and go, if everything is me pushed out, what can I do to sweep my side of the street? And it's looking at, okay, what have I got going on that supports that? Right. So for an example, I hear women say a lot, and it doesn't matter what culture, it doesn't matter what color, it doesn't matter what country or what age or what sexual preference. I hear this with women, especially all around the world. That person is really stubborn. Okay, I hear that one a lot. And I think, okay, if a woman is saying that about someone, what she's really saying underneath is, you're not giving me enough and I want more. So you got to look at, if I've said that about them, it says more about me right now that I am looking for more than what someone is willing to give. Now, that's a huge resentment that I think it puts petrol on the fire of growing fibroids.
And Pat, what about past traumas, like things that might have been unhealed, or you just haven't focused on, like you're saying? I know with my doctor, she said the size of your fibroids, I would say they had been growing for at least 10 years. And I said, well, what was I doing 10 years ago that was stressed out? Like, I really had to figure out, okay, what was stressful in 10 years? Yeah. And I didn't know. So this, I guess the fibroids and different things that we're not even aware of, the stressors that we're not aware of, is affecting our body and growing things. So how do you heal your past traumas to avoid having these issues?
Writing it and burning it.
You can do the writing and burning.
You have to address them, I'm sure.
There's other ways to do it. I think it's going back and asking the inner child what it is. Now, it's no secret that in certain countries, you've got global issues such as you've got discrimination, you've got racism, you've got all this stuff that you as a child would have experienced. Some people grew up in war. Some people grew up with, you know, the ancestry of whether it's the Holocaust or different things. We carry through our ancestors what our elders, the women in our family, the men in our family, what they said to us, what we took on. So it could be at school, it could be in the family, it could be in the culture, it could be in the country. So you got to look at the layers of, what did I experience? Where did I live? What was going on? What were my parents saying? Were my grandparents around? What did I hear? And then you look at school. So it's anywhere that you had any influence. You do inner child meditations, you do the Ho'oponopono work, and you clear whatever it is on any of those levels. So it's not a job that you're done in a week, but as you do it more and more and more and more, like when I started this in my 20s, And I'm now 55. Have I cleared a lot? Yes. Am I finished? No. I'm an eternal student of clearing my own stuff, and it will get hit at work. It will get hit with my relationship. It will get hit. Stuff will come up to be cleared. And that's what the Ho'oponopono is. It's a clearing, it's a cleaning tool. It's there to clean for forgiveness. Forgiveness sets you free from holding on to stuff that festers and feeds disease. In this case, we're talking about fibroids.
So one of the things for me is I noticed that when my fibroids reappeared, it was always after some kind of trauma. It was definitely connected. Now, of course, the first time it was a trauma I had buried so deep I didn't even remember it, honestly, till the second time the fibroids came back and I started working. Well, when I discovered your channel and started working on that inner child, started doing EFT tapping, started going to therapy, all those things helped uncover that, because I was like, oh, that's what it is. But do you think that the number of fibroids that you have also is a part of that trauma? Or because I had over 20 this past time, but before I had 12. So, and then this time I also had adenomyosis and some other stuff. It was just a whole mess up in there.
Yeah. I think women, because we're emotional creatures, that's where we seem to have the most issues. It's like the breasts and the abdomen, uterus areas where we have a lot of issues. So it's now it's interesting. I don't know that I've heard, we talked about this where you're looking online and trying to find stuff out, but is it that you have 20 small fibroids because you've had 20 small things that have happened that haven't been huge, but you took an emotional hit for a while? It might've lasted a week. It might've lasted a month. It might've lasted 6 months. And then the diet, maybe the lack of exercise and the not letting stuff go, not surrendering, letting anything go mentally and emotionally, it's then created these little growths. And for me, I had a huge one. And did I take a huge hit? No, I took quite a few hits in relationships. And then I took a hit in my 20s where I had the tumor, and then I got glandular fever, and then I tore my hamstring, and then there was one other thing. Oh yeah, something happened where I was paralyzed on one side of my body for about a week. It's like I had a paralysis on one side. But when I look back at what I was doing, I was overworking because I was in debt. I wasn't listening to my body's health issues. And I was pushing myself too hard because I was trying to pay the debt because I didn't want to be in debt. And it was creating a lot of lack of sleep and anxiety and total stress from being in whatever it was, $40,000, $50,000 worth of debt at the time. So it would be an interesting thing, Shameika, to find out.
Yeah.
Do you get lots of little ones because you've had lots of, certain level stresses? And then, I can't say with mine, it was one stress, but it was definitely, I think, relationship and money stress.
I think that's what mine was, and career, and this one dude getting on my nerves probably more than 20 times. But I think because I had two big ones that were actually right inside the uterus, they were probably, I don't remember the exact size because I did that surgery first, but those were fairly big. And then the smaller ones were kind of outside or in the walls. But it's very interesting. So when you were shrinking your, how did you find out that they had actually, or the fibroid that you had actually shrunk?
Well, because when I would laying on the ground, you can really see if you've got, unless you're extremely, you're carrying too much weight, then you probably wouldn't notice. But as I was fasting, because I did a 7-day fast to shrink the fibroid quickly, because I was I freaked myself out. That's why I did 7 days. I thought, right, I'm not feeding this thing anything for a whole week. I'm not giving it a thing.
Oh my God.
That's one way to do it.
Starve it out. Yeah.
I don't care. I'll drink water and I'll drink maybe some juice, and then you're going to die. I'm going to kill you. I did this severe thing of 1 week's fasting, and then I could see that it had gone down, because often people that have fibroids have got really poor digestion, and it's toxins in the body. So if you have trouble with constipation, you have trouble, you're really slow at digesting, the toxins have to go somewhere. Oh. And the slow digestion is part of the reason why we have fibroids, because the body's not eliminating properly. So the way I knew it was going down was that I could see that I could do my genes up, and that I could feel more of a flattening of the belly. So, but I'm still a bit, I'm not real 100% on my digestion. I have tendencies that still, if I eat too much meat, meat's very hard to digest for certain body types. I'm one of those body types. I'm low energy. I don't do high, exercise where I sweat. So I don't sweat very easily. Therefore, my body hangs on to toxins. So I have to do it through drinking water, through meditation and breathing, but still sweating, I think, is the best way to eliminate toxins. So, but some of us aren't high impact people. We're not. So it depends. If you're someone who can go for a really intense run, or you're doing Kazumba on YouTube or whatever, that's probably great for eliminating. And therefore, if you eliminate better and your body gets rid of stuff better, that's why I started taking the clay, because the clay kind of made up for me not being able to sweat. I'm not a sweater. Even in Australia, in really high temperatures, it's very rare that I sweat much. So, I used to think, oh, that's great, I don't sweat. And my partner said, it's not great. He said, you're not eliminating any toxins. I went, oh, I didn't think of that.
I need to get this clay. Send me some clay.
Can you get it on Amazon? What is it?
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon. Okay. Just put into Google French green clay and make sure it's made in France, because they make it in lots of other countries, but that's where it's extracted from the earth.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and this one, I'll just hold it up again so you can see the brand. But yeah, people stop the video, they'll be able to see that. But yeah, that's a brand that I know has worked for me. So
now, once you started to do your own measures of reducing, the fibroid or the size, shrinking it, how did you know it was gone? Did you go to a doctor to get another ultrasound to kind of check the status of what you were doing? Or did you just trust yourself and say, I know, I feel it, things are starting to change in my body? How did you know that your fibroids ultimately?
Well, could they still be there? Maybe. Do I feel a lot better? Yes. Do I feel that it's reduced? Yes. I made a decision. Well, it was basically because all the COVID stuff happened, and then you'd have to do online doctors, and it was like, well, you can't check for a fibroid when you're online. So it was kind of, because of what was going on globally, it just basically took away I'm going to go to the doctor and get it checked. Could I go now? I could. Am I bothered by it? No, I just, I do a lot of meditation to radiate love to the body. And, I just trust that as long as I do what I can for me, the danger zone's the diet. I've got bad diet habits. Yes, I'll have a fresh juice. Yes, I'll drink water. Yes, I'll eat greens, but I'm a late night scoffer. I love late night Netflix scoffing. I love scoffing at night.
Same. Late night, middle of the day.
Yeah, middle of the day too. But it's like, oh, it's 11 o'clock at night. What have I got in the cupboard? I need chocolate. I need cheesecake. I need, And there's the fibroid going, woohoo, she's giving us something, So, yeah.
I think what I've seen online through, and just talking to different women, I've seen women who were in great shape, who were vegans, who were, all these different health fanatics, and they have bigger fibroids than I even had, in multiple. Yeah. So it always amazes me when doctors say, well, we don't know where they come from. We don't have a definitive answer, on how fibroids exist, or, you know, usually it's overweight women. Well, I know a lot of women who are overweight that have it. And it's usually African American or minority women. Well, I know a lot of women who aren't, that have it. So the central point is what is causing it. It could be our foods. I think a lot of it is what we digest. I really do, and the different things that they're putting in the food, processed foods and meats and different things. But I also believe that it is emotional, like what we were talking about earlier. Just, and that's for any disease that I've seen. And when I think about the person who is attached to that illness, I'm like, oh yeah, you had a pretty interesting life. You had a lot of stuff go on. So how do we I guess what our podcast is really about is to educate women and to bring awareness to it, because I was 42 before I even knew about fibroids, and I had a circle of women who went through fibroids. I was the only one that didn't. So what should we tell our listeners how they need to discover or understand fibroids, or even investigate if they have them?
Well, I think you do need to get a diagnosis. If you're feeling, I mean, I knew for me, I was feeling pressure on one side, and I was thinking, pressure, it's a weird, uncomfortable, it's not really painful, it's just uncomfortable. And I remember thinking, okay, something's not right here. And it's also, when I look back, I was having a lot of issues in a relationship, and, you know, we were in different countries and there was heaps of frustration, and, you know, and we were arguing because of the sexual frustration and never being able to be with each other physically, and there was all this stuff going on. And I was really working too hard. In those days, I was doing interiors for retail shops. So I was up and down ladders, I was moving furniture. So I was physically exhausted. I was angry and feeling all sorts of negative emotion about my long distance relationship at that time. And it's like, you can see, you can, like Shameika said, you can look back at where something kind of emotionally blew out. And then not long after this thing is created, the fibroid starts, you know? So I think it's really looking at, like what you said, the emotional part. And I think sitting down and saying, okay, what am I still hanging on to about who? Because it's always a person or a situation that's linked to a person, your boss or your lover or someone, you know, did X, Y, Z, whatever. So if you can go, okay, what am I still harboring resentment about? And then there was a thing that I watched a long time ago, and it's called, it's a bit disturbing, I'll be honest, but it's the best thing about forgiveness I've ever seen. And it's called the Holocaust Twin Experiments. Now, there's a woman, an elderly woman in that video who talks about forgiveness. And what she had to forgive was so off the Richter scale, unforgivable. I thought, if this woman can forgive and understand that forgiveness is for her and be able to do that, then I can certainly forgive for the stuff that I've been through, because I haven't been through a Holocaust. So I was listening to her, and I watched her video quite a few times, and it made me cry, because it's such a powerful video on YouTube. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write down who I've got resentments towards still. And then I'm going to look at doing Brandon Bay's work of the physical journey, the emotional journey, to clear it, because I've got a physical issue that's come from an emotional thing. So I'm going to work through my physical body and the emotional body. And I'm going to then clean up my diet, and I'm going to make it a rule as best I can. If it doesn't come from nature, I'm not going to eat it, because it's all processed stuff that creates issues. So, and I'm not going to take any prescriptions, because to me, prescriptions is treating a symptom, and it's keeping the pharmaceutical companies in business. So I am going to look at the natural route. I'm grateful for the diagnosis from the doctor. I'm not anti-medicine. but I'm going to get the diagnosis and then I'm going to look over here. And over here was, I don't eat enough green stuff. I don't eat enough fruit. I'm not eating enough vegetables, and I'm having issues with my digestion because I'm eating too much dry food. Tacos, guacamole, Mexican food, wrappy, crunchy things.
Wait a minute.
Love the crunchy stuff.
I'm like, that's where I'm going later. Mexican food.
Yeah. But the crunchy stuff doesn't go through the pipes, like for me, that does not work for me. I need wet food. And I had to, a lot of my culture is bread. It's little crackers. It's, meringue, crumbly meringue, stuff like that. It's all dry. And that is why I've had so many digestion issues, because my cultural food has screwed up my pipes. So I have to acknowledge that I have picked food that is not wet food. Wet food, soups are great for me. Smoothies are great for me. Even gazpacho, which is a cold soup, it's all blended, beautiful vegetables, all those things. When I eat the right foods, my digestion works. When my digestion works, the stomach flattens out and the fibroid eventually dissolves because you're not feeding it the foods that it loves so that it grows. So all those things, it's a few different things, and it's doing them consistently. And then the exercise with the sit-ups, it's like all those things really created a healthy lower part of the body,
So it's not an overnight process, ladies. Don't think like me, mixing different roux in the kitchen and rubbing it on my stomach, or doing different things that I thought, okay, it's going to happen overnight. This is a process, because you have to get your body, accustomed to this new lifestyle or way of eating or fitness or taking care of your body. So
I think this even applies for, like with us, we both had hysterectomy. So I think that it applies to, because I'm thinking like, I should probably do a little bit better than I'm doing with my diet. But, I think this applies for us for our recovery and healing after and adjusting to our new bodies. So, so tell everybody where they can find you on like YouTube and what type of content you have, because it's so amazing. I watch every single day.
Well, I'm on YouTube. I'm not on any social media. I've removed myself from all of that because that was, again, distracting me from recovering. So I've cut all of that out. I'm only on YouTube. You see my name written up on here. And then from that, you can find, website, books, and different products and services there. And there's a health playlist on my YouTube channel. And within that playlist, there's meditations for health, health success stories, and also tips and my own health journey, because I've had a lot of things go wrong with my body because I pushed it too hard, too fast, and didn't give it time to recharge. I was the culprit that destroyed my health every time. I can't blame anybody. So, you do things wrong a lot, and enough times you either go to the grave or you go, hang on, I can change this. So luckily I got a tumor at 27, 28, and that made me learn about stuff really quick and early in life, because I did damage really fast. So that was a blessing now, because now I know when the battery drops below 50 in terms of energy, in terms of not getting enough sleep, not drinking enough water, enough exercise, then everything else falls apart. So those basics are really important for self-love and self-care.
Absolutely.
And overall wellness.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a treat. We've learned a lot. I don't know about you, Chelley, but I'm going to get me some green clay.
I want some too, because, I'll try it. I will try it. And now, get on a new fitness and wellness kick that I'm on now. So that'll tie right in.
Yeah. And you know what? People said, does it taste disgusting? The thought of eating clay or drinking clay, but it's not, it doesn't have a strong taste, and it's not really offensive. It's not like, woohoo, that tastes amazing, I want another glass, but it's definitely not like repulsive, like some natural stuff is. So I think it's been, anybody that's having issues with constipation, digestion, fibroids, COVID, this has been something that's been really simple and easy. And it's not like this huge expense either. It's quite cheap. I don't know what it would be over there, but I've got about 3 or 4 clients that have had COVID after I got it. And I said, just get the clay, take it this amount of times and, and see how you go. And they rebounded within like a week from COVID. So,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's different degrees of COVID and some people got it really bad and other people didn't. So we can't really say or know, but if it helped, then that's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. Chelley, take it home. Take it home.
We thank you so much for listening today. We thank Agnes for coming on and sharing her story and all this information that we really I was excited to learn more about different ways to heal yourself and wellness. So we look forward to speaking with you all later on another episode of Ladies Edition. I'm Chelley Cheyenne.
And I'm Shameika. Thank you for joining us.
Till next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ladies Edition. Don't forget, subscribe to the podcast and tune in next time for more riveting conversation.